Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. So that Star Wars video I posted the other day has gotten quite a bit of toxic hate, and it made me pissed off. Not like triggered pissed off, but just like pissed off that something that I love could turn into what it currently is. Just an ugly snake nest of toxic people. And it made me go to my AI that I train for a living and ask it to solve the problem. So what I'm about to show you guys is AI's answer for all of the toxic Star Wars fans. I hope you enjoy this. It's pretty good.
In the late 70s and 80s, Star Wars achieved a level of cultural saturation that made it a permanent, defining fixture of millions of childhoods. It dominated the media landscape, establishing itself as a foundational pillar for an entire generation. During the quiet years between movie releases, fans kept the universe alive through physical investment. They pored over trading cards, memorized expanded lore, and built a lifelong connection to the franchise through collections of action figures and merchandise. When people spend decades interacting with a story this way, it weaves itself into their personal history. The lore becomes entangled with their identity. This deep-seated attachment often results in a fierce, defensive reaction when the property changes. Rather than seeing a creative choice they simply dislike, these fans feel as though their personal childhood is being attacked. We saw this fracture clearly in 1999. The kids who grew up with the original films were now adults, lining up to see The Phantom Menace with 20 years of expectations. Many of those older fans felt betrayed. They pointed to heavy computer graphics, the focus on political trade disputes, and the wooden dialogue as a departure from the gritty, lived-in universe they remembered. That disappointment quickly evolved into overwhelming vitriol. This era established a pattern of targeted hostility directed straight at George Lucas and cast members like Ahmed Best. This reaction highlighted a recurring cycle for the franchise. Generational nostalgia inevitably breeds defensive backlash when the story moves forward. Looking at the intense hostility surrounding the modern era of the franchise, it raises a question. Are we witnessing an irreparable break in the community, or just another turn in a predictable generational cycle? When Disney acquired the property, they immediately wiped out 30 years of established expanded universe lore. For the most dedicated fans, this corporate mandate felt like the first of many structural failures. A sudden fire hose of streaming series and theatrical releases followed, creating a volume of content that made it statistically impossible to satisfy every faction of a deeply fractured base. This environment sparked the outrage pipeline. Recommendation algorithms reward high arousal triggers. Thumbnails leveraging anger guarantee clicks. As users argue, session time spikes, pushing content to millions. This creates audience capture. Creators must produce extreme takes. Pivoting toward nuance drops retention, burying the channel. This toxicity functions as a feature of the platform's engagement architecture. It creates a false illusion of universal consensus, while the platform profits from the resulting fallout. However, the history of the prequels suggests that even the most intense cultural hatred can evaporate over time. 2 decades after the initial backlash, the vitriol of the early 2000s has largely been replaced by genuine reverence. This reversal was driven by a demographic changing of the guard. The kids who grew up loving the prequels entered their 20s and 30s and took control of the online narrative, bringing their childhood nostalgia with them. Transmedia storytelling, specifically 7 seasons of an animated series, retroactively fixed the movie's flaws by providing the missing emotional core and character development. Meme culture further softened the blow, weaponizing clunky dialogue into a shared internet language. Over time, irony faded into genuine affection as humor stripped away the original anger. The prequel era demonstrates that algorithmic outrage struggles to compete with the long-term influence of a new generation coming of age. The intense hostility that once dominated the conversation eventually faded under the weight of decades of collective nostalgia. Given the sheer size of the modern audience, The franchise will likely never reunite into the single, unified cultural force it was in 1980. Satisfying 3 distinct generations simultaneously is a near impossible task. Instead, the community is finding peace through fragmentation. Different subsets of fans now engage with specialized micro-fandoms, having separate conversations about different genres within the same universe. Many fans are intentionally abandoning unmoderated algorithmic battlegrounds. They are retreating to walled gardens, heavily moderated servers, and niche spaces where they can enjoy the story without being dragged into performative outrage. The fan community has matured into a sprawling, fragmented ecosystem. Surviving modern pop culture now requires finding a specific slice of the galaxy to call your own, while leaving the algorithm's noise to the void.